Hey guys, Marstingan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so we are continuing on with the Super Battle Road guides for the new stages that are coming out for Global, and we are up to stage 48, which is the Rapid Growth stage. So this one has not had a huge amount of buffs for Global compared to when it was released on JP, aside from one pretty major one, which is the release of the LR, Gohan and Krillin during the download celebration, who of course are a rapid growth category leader. So we're going to jump in, and as always with these guides, look at my top picks and honorable mentions for this particular team. If there's any units that I miss out or units that you think I should have talked about in more detail, let me know down below in the comments section. And if you do find this guide helpful, do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let us go ahead and jump straight in. So technically the main category leader for this category is the SDR Kefla, because we don't have the Tech, Kale and Caulifla yet on Global. They are Universe 6 leader for 170, and then Rapid Growth is only 150. So they are technically the highest lead for Rapid Growth, but it's only a 150 instead of a 170 leader. So people do underrate Kefla quite a bit. I think mainly because of her inconsistency. You have to pick up 6 orbs for her to be able to have that 50% chance to dodge, and if you don't get them, like, her defense is not exactly crazy good, so you do have to be careful with her. Obviously from turn 3, so like her next appearance, she transforms into the Super Saiyan Kefla, where her defense is at least a little bit higher. She gets a little bit of an attack buff and still has the 50% chance to dodge, still requiring you to get 6 or more orbs. And then literally from the next turn, which is going to be turn 5, which in Super Battle Road you're not necessarily going to get to every time, but if you transform into the Super Saiyan 2 Kefla, then she has the 50% chance to dodge actually built in, and the 6 orbs gets you an additional super attack. So she can be pretty good. I mean, obviously you can get one of those lucky runs where you can get 6 orbs of her every time, and then you get the RNG for actually getting the dodges, and then she could definitely look quite impressive. But otherwise she definitely can be a bit of a letdown, especially if you get bad RNG. So moving on to look at the new card that we got here. So the LR, Gohan and Krillin are a rapid growth lead for 4 key and 130% to stats. They raise attack and defense on both of their super attacks, which is very good. They have pretty decent attack and defense. They have a medium chance to dodge built in. They also get extra key per key sphere obtained, so it's quite easy to get their 18 key super. They get some extra attack when forming a super, and then they launch an additional that has a high chance to become a super when key is 24. So they also have an active skill that gives them 24 key that you can use on turn 3. And then once you have performed 4 or more super attacks, you can then transform them into the battle armor. You can use the active skill twice, so always try and make sure to use the active skill before you transform them. And then once you transform them into the battle suit versions, they do get a significant buff to their stats. They greatly raise attack and defense on their 18 key now. They also get a ton of extra key from rainbow orbs. And then, yeah, like I said, you can use the active skill again once they've transformed, which is very, very good. So these guys are actually super good. I think if you have them, they're probably an auto include on the team. And then depending on how you want to build the team, you might as well use them as a leader if you don't want to bring Kefla, or of course, you know, you can bring Kefla just for the slightly higher leader skill percentage. But these guys definitely going to be a very strong unit on this team. Definitely an advantage for Global that these guys are out when the stages come out. So next up we have the Tech Gohan. No surprise to see him on here really. He is a super good unit, especially for Super Battle Road. He can tank really well even before receiving his first super attack, or sorry, performing his first super attack to raise his own defense. And then after that he obviously just gets better and better. If you get to turn 5, which as we've already said, not always going to happen in Super Battle Road, but if you get to turn 5 you can transform into Ultimate Gohan, and then obviously he's going to do even more damage while still retaining that good defensive capability. So Tech Gohan, definitely a strong option for the team. Next up we have the AGL LR Gohan. He's not the best for Super Battle Road because he's more suited to long form events where he can build up his defense, but he's still a pretty decent unit overall. He's got a very solid link set. He's just a strong unit in general. Very, very powerful. You're obviously not going to be able to get his transformation, although let's double check the actual enemies. Do you fight any androids on the rapid growth one? You do not, so unfortunately you are not going to be able to get his transformation in this one, but isn't that a surprise, right? That's like 90% of the game, but AGL LR Gohan is still a pretty solid unit. Next up we have the Int Gotenks. Int Gotenks is pretty good. He greatly raises defense on super. On turn 1 he's not that impressive when he's in base, but as soon as you get to the next turn he transforms into the Super Saiyan Gotenks. He's really, really good. Greatly raising defense on super with a 70% chance to stun, and then he has the chance to additional super. So if you have dupes or any skill orbs for additional, he could potentially super attack 3 times in one turn. Each of those is raising his defense by 50% and having a 70% chance to stun. So he is a really, really good. When the last set of category stages released, I think I used him on every single stage that he could be used on. So he is really, really good. Then of course we have the physical Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. With his EZA he got a very significant buff. He has a built-in 30% chance to dodge, which if RNG is on your side can obviously be very, very useful. And then he just has very solid attack and defense stats. He can super attack early with 9 key, and then of course if you get the sweet spot with the 11 key, that's how you deal the most damage. Massively raising attack for one turn, also getting effective against all types, which is obviously very, very useful in a mode like Super Battle Road where you're fighting enemies of multiple different typings. So Gotenks definitely very, very powerful. We're using other Gotenkses on the team potentially, so he's got link partners, so definitely very, very good. Another Gotenks that you can use is this STR one. He provides support when there are 2 or more enemies, which is obviously very good for Super Battle Road, and he does have a medium chance to stun on super. Outside of that, his stats are not particularly high, so obviously you do need to be careful about turns where he's potentially going to take a whole bunch of hits, but he is very, very good for providing that support and linking up with the other Gotenks units as well. Next up we have the Krillin and Vegeta exchange unit from the download celebration. These guys can work sort of well alongside the LR Krillin and Gohan, although they actually don't share as many links as you might think, but they do have a built-in chance to dodge, which is of course very, very useful for Super Battle Road. Whenever you can take no damage, that's always quite nice. Each attack they evade, they get a little bit of extra defense. So as long as you get lucky and they're dodging the first attacks rather than the last ones, they can get a nice little bit of extra defense. They also have a great chance to stun the enemy when they've evaded 4 or more attacks, and then once you get into the next turn you have the ability to exchange once they've evaded the 4 or more attacks. Once they exchange into the Vegeta is just a very powerful sort of all-out damage dealing unit. He recovers you a little bit of HP as well, which can be very nice to get a little free heal on Super Battle Road. But once you've transformed him, then obviously he becomes basically not a link partner at all for the LR Gohan and Krillin, so that's something you have to bear in mind. But he does get a additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super when there's another Planet Namek Saga ally on the team. So if you have them guys together, you know, even if they're not on rotation, he's getting a little bit of a bonus from that. And then he also survives KO attacks when HP is 30% or more. It's an old mechanic that is not necessarily always the best because it leaves you on 1 HP, but there are going to be potentially situations where that could actually save you. But obviously if there's any follow-up attacks, you know, you're on 1 HP, you're just going to die after that. But he definitely can be a reasonable choice, especially for a free-to-play unit. Then we have the LR Kale and Caulifla. I thought they were worth mentioning because they're a unit that have aged quite well. However, on this particular stage, you're not fighting Universe Survival Saga or Pure Saiyan enemies, so they're not getting their guaranteed additional supers, but they are still a very solid unit. They raise defense on super attack, they build up over time extra ki and chances to dodge, depending on how many attacks they perform. So even without getting their guaranteed additionals, you can get lucky with additionals from their hidden potential. They also do a guaranteed additional normal attack, which can help to trigger the additional from the hidden potential. So they can be very good even without getting those guaranteed additional supers. And of course, there are a bunch of other Kale and Cauliflas on the team. The AGL Caulifla has a 50% chance to dodge built in, as well as the possibility to counter enemy super attacks. She's super effective against all types. If you have a Kale on the rotation, she also raises defense on super attack, so even if she doesn't dodge, as long as she's super attacked first, her defense can be reasonably decent. And the effective against all types is obviously super helpful. We have the STR Kale and the Tech Caulifla. Obviously, Tech Caulifla is not quite the cheat code that she would normally be in events where you want to prioritize using her, because we don't have the Universe Survival Saga or Pure Saiyan enemy. But she does have a decent chance to dodge anyway, and both her and Kale raise attack and defense. They get little extra buffs when they're on rotation with each other. Kale, of course, guards when there is a Caulifla on the same turn, which is very useful, especially once you consider her getting off a couple of super attacks. Her defense is going to be reasonably decent, and then she is able to guard as well, so she can be a pretty strong defensive option. And Tech Caulifla can still be pretty good, even though she does not have the 100% chance to dodge, because if you're building a team that has a bunch of the Universe 6 Kale and Cauliflas on there, she's going to have a reasonable dodge chance, even though it's not the full-on 100%, so she can be pretty good. So looking back at rapid growth, obviously we don't have the Easy A for the free-to-play like Kale and Cauliflas yet. Goten and Trunks are just a super outdated unit that really need their Easy A for them to be useful. Obviously, Tech Hit doesn't have his Easy A on Global. AGL Broly is still fairly decent. You could probably use him. If you're using a largely Goku family team, these guys are a pretty decent support, but you know, we haven't even really covered that many Goku family units. I mean, Kid Goku is okay. He can stun on super. He has that active skill and the ability to get guaranteed crits when you're below a certain amount of HP, but he's definitely aged pretty badly, especially in terms of defensively. So he's not like a top tier pick. Same with STR Gohan. He really needs his Easy A to be brought back into the forefront of the meta. And like Kefla, for example, doesn't have her Easy A on Global, so she's super outdated as well. So Rapid Growth, I think, is probably one of the ones that could be quite tricky for a lot of people, just based on how few really good units there are. The free-to-play Int Kale, if you are bringing a bunch of the Universe 6 girls, she can be quite useful because she's a good support unit for them, but pre-Easy A, because we don't have that yet on Global, she's not super good defensively, so you do have to be careful about her taking hits. So yeah, I do think this one going to be a little bit tricky, but let me know down below if there's any units that I missed out that you think I should have talked about, or any aspects of a unit that I did cover that you think I should have gone into more detail, and let me know what your team build is going to be for the rapid growth category down below. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.